Let's get right into it, bro. We know you're a creative kid, dope illustrator. Um, work for the NFL and the NBA. Let's get into how you got got zeroed into and getting into that space.
What in the world?
Um, to be super honest, man, it wasn't even something that, I went after. Um, let's see, this was around like 2014, 2015. Like I was, doing work for Scene Magazine and uh, by the grace of God, Kevin Griffin, who was I think it was the VP of marketing of the Browns, saw my work and wanted to see magazines. He said he was just in the airport or whatever, and he picked it up and he reached out to me. I don't know how he got my email address. I don't even think it was
What
even
piece
in.
did he see? Can you? So what piece did he see? You was doing custom illustrations for Scene.
Yeah, like dude, like I got the magazine and stuff are like it's buried in like one of my closets. But yeah, like I was doing covers, like I would do like illustration for articles, like little spot illustrations for articles. And he saw that. And I'm gonna be honest, like I don't even know how he saw that and was and kind of like thought of like the NFL, like, oh, like this would be cool for us.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, he did, and yeah, like he reached out to me. I didn't know who the guy was, and even what makes it even crazier is like at the time I was in advertising. I was working with Marcus Thomas, and let's say he may have emailed me like maybe like the middle of January of that year. I ended up meeting with him maybe like a week later, and then maybe 2 weeks after that, we're now in February. I got laid off from my job, so like it was like a boom, it was literally like just like weeks, like each week something would happen, and it was wild. So like I went, I hooked up with this guy from San. I can't remember his name, but they had an opening. He put me on, and I worked there for like a month or so. And I honestly, like I was helping them out with their best stuff issue, which would have been coming out in a couple months. And I was like, I can't see myself like laying out like strip club ads in the back of this. What the hell was that?
A spider was coming again.
Yeah, like I couldn't see myself like, working for Scene for, long term, but coincidentally, and I know this is a super long story, I'm gonna wrap it up. So coincidentally, the Browns, they had a internship, like a seasonal position open. And this was like a major step back for me, but like I was mindful enough to know, like, the sports industry is not something you can just jump into. You know what I'm saying? Like, one, I mean, now that I know, the openings do come relatively often. It depends on like the off seasons, but like I'm gonna do it. Like I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna work for the Browns for a year and see what happened. And I mean, the rest is kind of history. Like I ended up not even working there for a whole year.
Yeah.
But I, worked there, moved to Columbus for a year, worked for Crew SC.
Yeah.
And I've been with the Cavs since 2017.
Talk about working with in Columbus. Like you landed the gig before you moved down there. Like they saw some of your work. How did
since like sports is so like close knit. I know it's a bunch of teams, but there's so many people who have started somewhere and moved, other places and stuff. But one of the guys that I work with the Browns, he used to do work in Columbus, and vice versa. The lady I ended up working for worked with the Browns, and a position opened up. This is like Christmas of 15. I applied maybe like either Christmas or the day after. And yeah, I got a call back maybe like the following week at the top of 16. But yeah, I mean, a lot of it has to do with your relationships,
Hold on, before you get to that point, I hate to cut you off, but
you good?
when you was with the Browns, was you learn how to like change up the portfolio. So talk about that, your illustrations, like you was kind of learning your way and knowing what they wanted to see and building up that portfolio. So I know the
Yeah.
relationships, but talk about the work and how you was kind of moving with that.
With the Browns, though, I wasn't there for like a long amount of time. Like, I think there I began to learn what I like is one thing,
Right,
but what will work for the masses is a completely different thing.
right.
Um, and yeah, like for example, like I did I think it might have been like the 30th anniversary or something of like it was an anniversary logo for the dog pound. And when I tell you like those first like concepts that I came up with, man, they was out there. I drew like the like half First Energy Stadium, half Municipal, you know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And like had like dog bone crosses, and it was 30 years. That's what it was.
Okay.
And like as we continue to go more and more through the process, at the end of it all, it ended up just being um like 30 years of the dog pound, like in just normal Browns text and the logo, like the dog pound the little dog face that they had came out with that year. And I wasn't even mad. Like it wasn't like, oh my goodness, like they putting handcuffs on me or anything like that. I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Like, yeah, like it should be as simple as that.
Got you.
Um, yeah, and I think that's something that a lot of people, I don't think, even outside of sports, I don't think they get. Like, you know, it's so funny. I just saw a Instagram ad for like logos for like $30, and
Yeah.
they'll turn them around like that day,
Right.
and it's so wild. And I'm not here to talk down on nobody's design or nothing like that. That's not my job. But the logos were all over the place. Like you can tell it was one of those things where
Mm.
people would be like, okay, like I want a logo with this and this and this. And it's
Mm.
like, all right, like dial it back some because you remember you got to shrink this thing down. It
Mm.
has to be readable. I mean, like the logo for the most part, it's not going to be in someone's face forever. They'll probably see it for a split second, and they got to be able to process what it is your service is, you know,
Yeah.
like in a matter of seconds. So we don't have time to be putting all of like everything that you want. We cannot fit this in here. We can simplify it and come to like a means, but yeah, like so basically like that way of thinking is something that I learned working with the Browns.
Dope. Dope. I think one thing is kind of different between like guys that just do a bunch of logos and people that got their own style. Because you getting hired. I think it's harder to do it that way than getting hired to do it because you got your own style. So, I had people call me and say, once you put your J working touches on it, because we saw your work versus, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Um, you want to talk about that some? Like you kind
Yeah.
of your style kind of changed or listen, I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry.
No, you good. No, this is your thing. I'm a guest here. You know
I
what I'm
don't want
saying?
to.
So
I
whatever you
don't
want to
want
take
to
this
cut you off.
conversation.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sorry to cut you off. I'm excited, bro. But go ahead.
No, wherever you want to take this conversation, man, we can take it. Like shit, man.
Yeah.
I just had my right before this, I had my weekly team meeting. So as far as like my Cavs obligations for the day, like I'm good. Like,
Oh, good. That's what's up. Look,
like
let's go.
hell, I might even take a nap after this. Who
Oh,
knows?
for
You know?
sure. Let's talk about it. You get to Columbus. You're working your way through Columbus. You kind of dealing with corporate, and then next thing you know, you're coming back to the house for the Cavs. So
Yeah. And I don't know if you remember this, but remember when I spoke at Weapons
yeah,
and it, man, I put a lot of stuff on like Instagram and stuff, but my Cavs story is crazy. So you remember me speaking at Weapons, and I was talking about how I think I might have like either just interviewed for the Cavs or I applied for a job with the Cavs. But I'll say this, like as much as like I love the city of Columbus, like I knew when I got down there, like especially like the circumstances that I moved down there in, like I knew after a few months, I'm like, this ain't it. Like especially like coming from the NFL and as big as the NFL is, to then going to the MLS, and that's like though it's a popular league, it's smaller and everything is smaller. So I'm like, yeah, this ain't it. So maybe around like by June, July, the fact that they won they won the finals made it a lot more exciting. But a position opened up. I applied. Man, when I tell you I interviewed maybe 4 times. the process went, and it's funny because since then I don't think I've seen, not working for the Cavs, I don't think I've seen an interview process go as long as this. I started interviewing for that.
Definitely going to Columbus helped the portfolio though too, because you had some.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Man, like, because it was such a small operation, like my stuff was on the stadium.
Right.
Like they was letting me do illustrations for the stadium, for like the the light poles that goes around the stadium, like giveaways, stadium cups. Like it was only me and another guy. And because the other guy had been there for so long, he was kind of off, like doing certain stuff. He was like, nah, here, you do it. Basically just, I'm not like, shit, like, yes, yeah, give me this. Yeah. Like, I'm gonna show you what to do with it.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, like I'll never talk bad about Columbus, but for the short amount of time that I was there, man, like I was able to do some stuff that I had never envisioned myself doing. So, but the thing is though, it was because it was 2 of us who was doing everything. Yeah. Like everything. So it was just too much.
I'm sorry. Did you have a plug with Columbus, or you just, with the Cavs, or you just applied and just?
The guy that, my creative director now, and another lead designer, like I met those guys when I was with the Browns, but those 2 dudes did not help me eventually get in. So going back to how I got with the Cavs, like the job that I was going out for, I didn't get. Okay, like I ended up not getting it, and I don't know. It was weird. Like I was devastated because the process went from July to November. Like I found out I didn't get the job literally like the day before Thanksgiving. And I was devastated. You know what I'm saying? And the things in Columbus, like, how you get your mind set to do something. Yeah. Like I was off it. Like I was off being in Columbus. Like I would come to work and do my job, but I was coming to Cleveland every weekend. Like I was coming home every weekend. Like, and you can never really get acclimated with a place if you're leaving every time you have free time. So another position opened up, lesser of a position, again, like kind of like with the Brown situation. It was a seasonal position, but it would get me back home.
Right.
And I took it. I then became like the digital assistant or some shit like that. I forgot the name of the thing, but I'll tell you, when I got there, I bust my ass. You know what I'm saying?
Explain that. What you mean?
Again, like because I'm an illustrator, one thing that I learned this in college. Like a lot of people who can draw can't do like the typography part, and a lot of people who do the typography part can't draw. I can do both, Right. So people will get drawn in through like my illustration work, but then when they see the rest of my portfolio, and it's like, oh my goodness, like you've done digital, you've done like layouts, you've done all of these things. It's like, oh yeah, I mean, of course we'll take you. So when I got to the Cavs, like I remember, have you met Ray Brown?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So Ray and another guy, Joe Cayone, are like Ray is popular here in Cleveland, but like people love Joe Cayone, like around the country, like his work and stuff. But I remember interviewing with them, those 2 guys, and Ray was like, look, you get in here, just bang out. Like, just like literally like put your head down and just work. If no like assignments or anything is coming towards you, still work, like do something. And so I found something that they didn't have, even though Ray is an illustrator, like my style of illustration is different from his.
Right.
So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna just find something that they don't have. And like when I would just do just graphics to do them. Like I would just do just illustrations of players and just send them to like the social media people. I'm like, if you want to use it, cool. If you don't want to use it, cool. Like, and I even asking, like,
yeah.
Like I'm about to get the most of this as I can, you know?
Yeah, that's
like
awesome.
I'm just like I would like if Kevin Love was coming back from an injury, boom, I would send it. Like I just like kept like pushing out work on top of what they were asking me to do. The next thing you know, me and Joe Cayone, we're like making this this AR, augmented reality basketball app. You know what I'm saying? So they start giving me stuff, like they start giving me bigger stuff, like bigger projects.
How many I'm sorry. How many designers is in there?
In digital at the time it was 4. Yeah, 4. It was me, Ray, Joe, and Matt. Actually, it's still 4. Well, it's 3 of them now, but yeah, it's the same outfit.
You're going above and beyond, doing this extra work. You're getting this notice, and then go ahead and talk about that after that.
Yeah. So when my season, because I only did half of a season in digital. So when my half of a season was up, I had done so much stuff and gotten so many eyes around the organization. It was time to figure out what they were going to do with me. Like, are we going to bring you in full time, or are we just going to give you another, basically another intern season? So off of all of the work that I had done and the reception that I was getting, I'm like, of course, like you're going to bring me in full time, because it's like what else you going to do, basically?
Right. You added so much value. Go ahead.
Right. But when I tell you, like my team leader at the time, he brought me in. He was like, okay, we can give you a raise, but you'll have another season, another year as a seasonal. And I mean, it's not like I had a job to go to that I can just say like no. So I'm like, I reluctantly say yes, like yeah, like I'll do it, but I wasn't happy about it. Yeah. But his boss was like, nah, like absolutely not. Like, one, that's how people leave. You know what I'm saying? Like, right. And we want to keep him here. So another position opened up in corporate partnership. So basically just like going to companies and trying to get them to partner with the Cavs, and they needed a designer. So I went there and worked with that team for about 2 years. So
how was it working with during the time when LeBron was there? Like talk about the transition after. Let's get right into current. Like talk about the transition to how work went after LeBron left and now with COVID with no teams playing. Like let's get into that.
When he left, I was all right. Well, I think I spent a whole season in corporate partnership after he left. So I got to see like the business side of it. And that was interesting because like just seeing the salespeople try to come up with reasoning for businesses to throw millions of dollars at the Cavs. And it was sad, but it was also kind of funny too, because it's like clearly like we're at the point where we can't stand on our own as a brand because we don't know what the team is going to be, after he left. We have an idea, of course, but we don't want to go out and tell people like, hey, we're going to suck. Like, you can't say that, Right. So it's like, no, like, we're reloading and all of this stuff. So it was just interesting, like seeing like the business ramifications of it. And honestly, like business wise, it wasn't that much of a fall off. Like the public may not know that or even care to know, but like business wise and like bringing in money, like the Cavs did really good post LeBron. But the thing is that having the mindset that he could that he could leave, helps you prepare for the aftermath of it. You know what I'm saying? As in like before, like no one prepared for it because they didn't think he was going to leave. So yeah, like the Cavs did fine, like business wise. But I will say the most the coolest part to me, at least, is, and I just mentioned it before, was like now that we are 2 seasons post LeBron, like we are now able to like build up like the Cavaliers brand and stand on that brand, where it's like, okay, we may not be that good on the court, but in the meanwhile, like we want to make the Cavaliers cool. And that's why I'm so excited about like just my job and like being on the retail side and the marketing side, is because like I get to be a part of making that brand cool, where you can just go out and wear Cav stuff and people are not going to look at you like they suck, or like LeBron ain't there no more, why are you wearing that? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it can just kind of just, like, I don't know. It's just, it could just be.
No, that makes sense, bro. So we in the COVID, no more games, all of that stuff. How did that change the landscape of you working?
Everyone's working from home. Like all of like the salary workers, we're all working from home. We, thank God, like we haven't seen any like pay cuts or anything, like we're all getting paid. Like, man, like this whole time we've been home for like 60 plus days. And in this whole time, like I found myself like, I can't complain. Like I cannot complain. Like even when I try to, I have to remind myself like, look, like these last 2 months, you have not went without. You know what I'm saying? Like if anything, you have more, because surprisingly, though I've been home, people have been hitting me up for like more freelance stuff.
Yeah.
And like, that's kind of bittersweet, but yeah, like I don't have any real qualms. Like, yeah, I'm not able to, go and like hang out with my friends at like our favorite spots and stuff like that. But like, I'm healthy, my family's healthy.
Yeah.
Like the people around me, like everyone's still working, whether they're working from home or they're going into their office. So it's like, it's just like a inconvenience at this point,
Let's get into this. Like, talk about. Just give me some advice for the youth, like somebody trying to get into this game, trying to get into this arena. Like, what's the process? Like, let's just say I'm 16, I'm 17. What do I need to do? Do I need to just build up the portfolio? Do I need to like what's your advice?
A few things. One, I would try to find maybe about 3 or 4 things and become good at those things. Like for me, for example, like illustration is clearly like the top. Like that's my strongest thing. But I'm not that great at it now, but like I used to be able to code a little bit. Like I code, like I said, like I can do like magazine layouts and stuff like that. Like, just mess with typography and hell, even once upon like painting, like I can paint, like I can draw, like hell, even at a time, like I was making like toys, like out of, I can't remember the name of the clay, but like I was able to do 3D illustration. So try to become good at as many things as you can. That way, when it's time for you to go out and get a job or whatever, you will be versatile. People won't be able to put you in a box and pigeonhole you. It's like, oh, you looking for this? I can do that. Oh, you looking for this? I can do this as well. I would have to say like that's one of the things that always kept me employed. Is that the fact that I could do a few things. Because illustration is not going to just do it. Like I tell you that right now, like people can just go and hire one of those and use them for what they need and then just get rid of them. But if you offer more, you good. Another thing I would say is, especially like in your teenage years, like, and I don't know if it's different from when I was a teenager, but like just work, man. Just don't pay attention to what no one else is doing, what nobody else is saying. Like if you mess with it, and that's anything. It don't even necessarily have to be design. Like if you doing something and you like it and you got a passion for it, continue doing that. Like ride that out, because one thing that you will learn, especially once you get like my age, is that a lot of the people that you were in school with or was in your neighborhood, who didn't have a passion for something, they hurting right now.
Right.
Like they got a job, they may have a job, they may have a nice, decent life, but like that urge to be good at something. Like, you know, you hear people all the time like, oh, I got to be more to life than this. Yeah, because like you doing the you know the normal steps of the day. You go to work, you come home, go to sleep, you know, go to work. You don't have no drive for nothing. And I would have to say like this whole pandemic thing, if it hasn't done nothing for me, it's gotten me to the point where it's like I have to start back doing my own personal work and stuff that like I like to do, you know?
Let's talk about that. Like, where do you find your inspiration? Is it music? Is it movies? Is it seeing other artwork? Is it going outside? Like,
Mainly music and like it's like stuff I see on TV, or just things that like I've just seen as a kid. Like I was a really quiet kid. Like I didn't really like make too much of a fuss, but I would listen to music all day. Or like I'm not even talking about whatever was current at that time. Like I would, you know, like I would go and like grab my dad's CDs and like dude, I was legit putting records down like and maybe like the first or second grade. You know what I'm saying? Like because like crap, I can't remember the name of it, but like seeing like a Parliament's album cover. I'm like, oh, this is cool. And I may know like one or two songs off of it, and I would just put it down and listen to it, you know?
So I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
So let's say you're in a slump and you need to get the creative juices flowing. What's your go-to?
What, like song or?
Like, yeah, like an album, like something like if you really want to just go crazy.
If I need like a legit like pick me up, it would have to be like something like some Jay Dilla type stuff. Like from him, it would either be like I would listen to Donuts or I would listen to like The Shining. Like those two albums would kind of like get me, I don't know, like maybe like in a mindset that I was in when I was in college and like I was just literally like just grinding out work. Yeah, like that's wild because like I don't, outside of like those two, I don't really have any like go to like albums. It may be like songs, but what I will say, like I have movies. Like I have like legit movies that if I put them on while I'm working, like I can just get in a zone and somehow I can listen to the movie and still be working at the same time. Like for me, like Boomerang is one. Goodfellas is another one. What, like Harlem Nights, like whenever like I need to like stay up, like if I need to play like all nighter, like I have maybe about 4 or 5 movies that like I'll just be playing them like and I don't like, it's just, you know, like sometimes like things like are influencing you and you don't know until like either they come up in conversation or like you're working and then you look up and it's like, oh, like look at that. Like, look what I just did. You know what I'm saying? Just knocked it out.
Let's go. Talk about your process a little bit. Is it sketching out, jumping in an Illustrator, or you on the iPad, you on Procreate? Like,
man, I was right before they sent us home, maybe like the months leading up to it, like I was getting really, really comfortable with drawing on the iPad. Like, it's something about it. I remember seeing I want to say his name is Robzilla. Is that his name?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing him at crap. I can't remember the. I saw him at a conference. I can't remember the name conference to say my life. MLC. I saw him at MLC last year in Atlanta, and he was like, "Man, like I can sit and watch a baseball game, and just like my goal is to knock out like an illustration of a player before the game is over with." And I'm like, that's wild. And I remember turning to my my art director. I'm like, we got an iPad in the office. like let me get on that. So yeah, like the months leading up to them sending us home, like I was getting real comfortable with that. But I don't have it here with me. And I ain't gonna lie, and this is I'm not a millennial, but this is some straight millennial stuff. So I'm I'm home. These are the first few days, and I'm like, oh my god, like I want to draw. What am I gonna draw? Like I don't have I had an iPad. Man, I had to like. I'm like, you're an idiot because you have a closet full of sketchbooks that's like half empty or brand new. And dude, like I just start pulling out stuff. I'm like, okay, like I'm good. So my process with at least with drawing is that just by habit, like I don't even have a scanner, but like I'll use the no photo blue Prismacolor pencil, like lay my shapes down. Then I'll make it like a red, color pencil, then like refine it. And then of course, like, you get your, I like the hard lead, like your, is your H's, right? Like yeah, like I like drawing with those because they don't dull out super quick. Like real old school shit, like using transparency paper if you get it wrong, like, yeah, that kind of stuff.
Oh, love it, love it, love it. Are you looking at tutorials and stuff on YouTube and stuff like that to sharpen up your skills, or you just
Oh, and sometimes I feel guilty about it because like I don't, man. Like one of the guys that I look up to, and that may sound weird, but his name is Glitch Richmond. He's on Instagram. He works for The Score, and our illustration styles are fairly similar, but like he's making stuff move. And like that's something that I beat myself up over a lot because it's like, dude, like how are you not teaching yourself how to do this?
what was it? He's using Adobe After Effects or something?
Shit, I asked him too. I think he's using After Effects. But basically like he's making like, he did an illustration over the weekend, well, animation over the weekend, and it's like Jordan's doing a simple move. He's literally like he's about to go through the lane and dunk, but he never dunks. He never goes up for the dunk. He's just skipping. So the move is relatively simple, but his uniform is changing through time. And it's like, dog, like you don't have to get Pixar with this. Like you don't have to get crazy on the animation side. If you can just make a few things move, that changes the whole dynamic. You know what I'm saying? Like one of my friends, JR, he just taught himself, it might be After Effects. I'm not sure. He'll see this and he'll probably tell me exactly what it is. But I had to tell him, I'm like, yo, the fact that you teaching yourself something new, that's where to go. Like I'm too stuck in my ways, I feel like, to even like straight up. Like
I mean, I got a book called The One Thing, bro, and it talks about focusing on the one thing. So, I just, was just curious about your process, man. Can you talk about any challenges being in corporate, bro? I mean, I tried it and they kicked me out. So,
well, I worked in digital. I spent most of my time with the Cavs in corporate partnership, and I'm not gonna lie, like, and even if the people who I worked with see this, like, I hated it. Like, I did it because it was my job, and I love some of the people that I worked with. But one thing that always like pissed me off as a designer is when you know the ins and outs of design. You know the rules of design.
right.
You know, what should be what size, and dominant, subordinate, subdominant, all of that composition, all that stuff. When you have someone who basically throws all of that out the window and was like, no, like we want it to be this. I spent my first maybe 6 to 8 months like fighting with them on like how things should be. But after a while, like I just stopped caring. It's like, if this is what you want it to look like, I'll do it. And I think once I got to that point, it was like, I can't do this forever. I can't feel like this forever. Yeah, but honestly, like that was my only gripe for real. Like,
Yeah.
just a matter of like people who I don't even like, not knowing is one thing, but not caring that you don't know. And I'm not even going to take it into consideration, that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah, bruh, I did it, so I know exactly what you mean. I had a lot of people over me who didn't know anything about design.
Yeah.
And, you know, being creative is like a tough job, man. It's one of the toughest jobs, and I just want everybody to know that. So let's talk about, you know, what's next for you? Like,
What's next for me is just doing more personal work. Like I just started a new account on Instagram called Over Under. I'll send you the ad to
okay,
it. And basically, not like on like some grandstanding or like, you know, hot dog and stuff on my current employer at Cavaliers. I honestly like a lot of the stuff that I do there that is like purely me doesn't see the light of day. And that's okay, because it's like we are, you know, what I may have in mind may not necessarily be for the crowd that we're pitching to. And instead of getting upset about it, it's like, all right, well, I'll just take that idea and apply it to, I don't know, the New York Knicks. And then I'll put it on my page. You know what I'm saying? Because like right now, my goal as a designer is to like start like freelancing for like the big media, the big sports media outlets. Like if I can get the attention of, I don't know, Bleacher Report or like ESPN and those people and like start doing freelance, like illustration work for them, like that's my goal. Like I haven't really went like super public with it, but after this month, I'm gonna stop doing like freelance work for like people around the corner who need a logo and, you know, just like little projects from people. Like I don't know, like that's cool. Believe me, like I'll take your money. Like I like that. Like that's cool, but I don't have any passion for it. Like,
yeah. Well, you raising up the level. Like you just keep going up. You climbing each mountain every time, more and more and more.
right. So basically, and you know, I love sports. I love designing. So I just want everything that I do to be around that because I'm good at it. And I know that if, you know, the Carolina Panthers come to me and need some illustration work, I'm gonna be excited to do that. And that excitement is gonna come through the work. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Versus doing like a random like logo for someone. Like I don't give a shit about that. Like no, like straight up.
No, I know. I mean, at what point can I start saying no?
Right. Yeah. I mean, and kind of like the corporate thing where it's like I can send you 3 to 5 ideas that I like my professional opinion, like is pointing you in the right direction, and then you're gonna be like, nah, let's do this. Like let's do X, Y, and Z, and that might ruin the whole thing. Like I don't have that kind of time anymore. Like I don't. Like the moment I stop caring, I'm mindful enough to know that, hey, I shouldn't be doing this. So.
Yeah, that's dope. That's dope, bro. Where can we find you, man?
You can find me at at JG Wallace or Instagram and Twitter. You can find my work at behance.com. What is it? Backspace? Backslash?
Yeah, I think
backslash JG Wallace.
I haven't been on there. I haven't been on Behance, bro, since my corporate days. I want to say 2006 or something.
I may have updated my Behance with a project maybe 6 months ago.
I'm sorry. You know, one of my problems was starting out, man, is that my portfolio really consisted of all work stuff and none of my personal stuff.
Yeah.
Because I was trying to jump from job to job, and I kind of like really stagnated my growth and creativity when I think about it back in the day, bro.
Yeah, well, that's you know, that was one of them situations where like you got to come home and do more work. You got to come home and get them ideas that you have for yourself. You got to get them out. Oh, but you also, one last thing, you can find me at Over Under on Instagram, but it's not spelled like of course, like over under. It's OVUNDR. Again, like I'll send you the link to that.
So,
But yeah, man.
appreciate you, bro.
No problem. No problem. How long have we been talking? Is there a timer on this thing?
40 minutes.
Oh, they gonna cut us off.
I know. Sometimes they don't, though. So.
All right.
Appreciate you, though, bro. Appreciate you, man.
I appreciate you asking me. Like, I saw everybody else on this joint. I'm like, man, like I got to get an invite eventually. I wouldn't be upset. But I'm like, damn, like, you know what I'm saying? Jay got to hit me up. Like, I got to get on there and talk shop for a little bit.